Honda's CEO, Toshihiro Mibe, recently pulled the plug on electric cars due to sluggish sales. This move could lead to a significant drop in prices, possibly around 50%. Now, what does this mean for the EV landscape? And how can we capitalize on this shift? Let's find out. Now, let's look at what really happened. Honda's boss, Toshihiro Mibe, just dropped a bombshell. They're ditching the idea of making electric cars, going against the trend where everyone else is making more of them. Mibe firmly stated, "No more electric cars for us." He's not just doubtful about electric cars, he's going against the big shots in politics. His message is crystal clear. The world isn't ready to fully switch to electric, and Honda won't be rushed into it. Now, you might be wondering why this sudden change. Mibe has his reasons, and they make a lot of sense. He believes that regular gas cars, especially hybrids, still have a long way to go, and investing in an electric car right now isn't a smart move. Here's the shocking part. Honda scrapped a massive $5 billion plan to make electric cars, leaving investors in shock. They had partnered with General Motors to create affordable electric cars, but now all those plans are thrown out the window. Originally, they wanted to use GM's fancy Ultium battery tech to make electric cars priced under $30,000, but with the current crash in the electric car market, that seemed too risky. Let's rewind to 2022, when the CEO of Honda shared some thoughts. "I've been in the engine business for over 30 years, so personally, it's a bit worrisome. But I need to separate my feelings from what's best for the company." This hints at a personal struggle and a strategic decision for Honda's future. Mibe, the CEO, believes in sticking with combustion engines for the next couple of decades, suggesting they could last until 2040. It shows Honda isn't ready to fully shift away from traditional engines. Despite their long history, Honda's sales, especially in electric vehicles, haven't been as impressive as their rivals. Neva, the leader, steps in during a tough time with a significant sales drop of 32.9%, especially for Acura, their sister brand. Then, a game changer, the Biden administration makes a move, pushing all car manufacturers to produce more EVs. It's not that companies don't want affordable EVs for everyone, but politicians are the ones putting the pressure on them. Biden's got this radical idea to phase out gas cars and boost EVs. He's pushing for a rule where 2 out of 3 cars sold in the US by 2030 should be electric. If car companies can't do this, they might have to stop selling cars altogether. Right now, only 7% of cars sold are EVs, so this plan sounds pretty extreme. The car manufacturers are really upset about it, but they can't really go against the government, or they'll get hit with fines. Even Honda is feeling the heat, and that's why Neba, a part of Honda, is bringing around 5 EVs to the US market this year, and putting the brakes on gas cars. Biden's goal is to change things in just 7 years, and it's causing a stir. Some people are supporting Honda because they're under pressure to adapt, while others see Biden as the bad guy here. Recently, a bunch of car dealers, like 4,000 of them, wrote a letter to President Biden, worried about these electric car rules. They're saying people don't really want electric cars that much, and it's too expensive for most. Imagine you're selling regular cars at your shop, and suddenly the government hits you with new rules on emissions. These aren't your usual make cars a bit cleaner rules. It's more like pay up if you can't follow these standards rules. Now, let's talk about the real deal with electric cars. They might seem like the future, but they're hitting regular folks' wallets pretty hard. An electric car can cost you about $20,000 more than a hybrid gas one. To make up for that, you'd have to drive around 60,000 miles. That's a ton of road trips. Plus, there's the range problem. 300 miles per charge sounds awesome until you find out things like cold weather can cut that by 30%. That's a headache for people in places like Minnesota or Maine, where winter is a big deal. Last year, the Biden team seemed fair, giving both gas and electric cars a shot. But then they surprised everyone. The new emission rules are so strict that car makers basically have to go electric or pay big fines. It's a tough spot for them. Major players like Ford, GM, and Mercedes are bidding farewell to traditional gas cars. But hold your horses, because Honda isn't quite ready to join the farewell party just yet. The number of EVs gathering dust on dealership lots is soaring, with an eye-popping 350% increase in unsold EVs this year alone. Dealerships find themselves drowning in these unsellable EVs, especially luxury models from brands like Genesis, Audi, and GMC, whose price tags are just too hefty for most buyers. Now, let's talk about hybrids. They're flying off the shelves like hotcakes. Honda, known for its value and reliability, might face a bumpy road if they're pushed into adopting expensive EVs. But here's the plot twist. Honda isn't alone in this dilemma. Automotive giants such as Ford and GM are also giving their EV strategies a second thought. GM, once the shining star of the auto sector, is slamming the brakes on EV production in North America due to lackluster demand. Their initial plan was to sell 400,000 EVs from 2022 to mid-2024, but now they're extending production targets to 2025, saving a whopping $1.5 billion next year. What about GM? Well, GM's journey, in particular, resembles a roller coaster ride. They're grappling with labor strikes that are bleeding them dry at an alarming rate of $200 million per week. Imagine the chaos unfolding at GM headquarters, where the boardroom is likely a hive of activity with high-stakes crisis meetings and executives grappling with tough decisions. To add to the drama, there's a snag in launching anticipated models like the Equinox EV and Silverado EV. Now, let's shift the spotlight to Ford. Their narrative is equally riveting. They've hit the brakes on a colossal $12 billion investment in EV manufacturing. CEO Jim Farley made the bold move of halting production on their bestseller electric pickup. The plot thickens as customers persistently voice grievances about poor quality and reliability issues with Ford's vehicles. And surprisingly, they've even tossed aside their ambitious goal of churning out 2 million EVs by 2026. The resounding message echoes loud and clear. EVs are being labeled a sham, and the average person is awakening to the reality beyond the hype. Now let's circle back to Honda. Their CEO, Mibe, isn't merely lukewarm on EVs. There's a firm stance against them. He is cooking up something big in secret. He's got this crazy alternative up his sleeve. Mibe is bold. He's saying, pull the brakes on EVs, traditional engines still have a part to play. Quite a daring move, considering the entire auto industry is sprinting toward electric dreams. But Honda's got more on their plate. They're not just worried about jumping the gun, they're eyeing the downsides of EV production that often get buried in all the electric buzz. Honda's looking at the environmental and social price tags that come with making EVs. The mining dance for lithium, cobalt, and nickel. The MVPs for EV batteries is leaving behind a hefty carbon footprint. It's a real talk that often gets overshadowed by the electric car hype. Now, Honda's not twiddling their thumbs in this dilemma. They're in the game, actively hunting for solutions. They're not alone in this mission. They've locked arms with Sony to create a mobility tech powerhouse that's all about the software. And guess what? They're aiming to roll out a fresh EV by 2026. Talk about making moves. In a world where everyone's racing to be the electric superhero, Honda's taking a pause. Mibe, the mastermind, is sounding the alarm, saying, let's not rush. There's more to the story. They're not just pointing fingers. They're digging deep into partnerships and innovation. So, while the world is dazzled by the electric car craze, Honda's stepping back, looking at the bigger picture. Mibe and the Samo crew are making waves, questioning the EV sprint, and focusing on a future where they can be eco-friendly without forgetting the impact of the race itself. It's not just a pit stop for Honda. It's a strategic move with eyes set on 2026 for their next big EV reveal. Honda is also dusting off the classic Prelude, but with a high-tech twist, a hybrid electric drivetrain. This move shouts loud and clear about Honda's commitment to different fuel technologies. Now, here's the game changer. Honda is putting its bets on fuel cell electric vehicles, planning to roll out a new FCEV based on the Honda CR-V in 2024. It's a big sign that Honda isn't just hitching its wagon to EVs, but is steering towards alternative fuels for the long haul. But here's the million-dollar question. Is Honda's shift away from EVs a stroke of genius or a risky roll of the dice? In a world where the automotive industry is electrifying at full throttle, with Tesla leading the charge, Honda's decision to take a detour is bold, to say the least. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The government's EV push might be missing the mark on some crucial points. First up, the power grid. Is it ready for an EV takeover? And then there's the supply chain hiccup. We're heavily reliant on materials from places like China, and that's a whole different ballgame. What do you make of Honda's move? Should EVs be the sole star in our automotive future? Let's know your thoughts in the comment section.